What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Today I've got a story time that a friend actually told me about how one time he was like going over to a classmate's house to work on a group project, but they ended up giving him the wrong address, and he was in some stranger's kitchen when they came down and were like, "What are you doing in my house?" Regardless, I just thought this story was a little bit of a funny situation nobody should ever have to find themselves in, so I figured I would share it with y'all. So without further ado, let's go. Alright, so this takes place when my friend was a junior in high school. He had just gotten his license and could drive, and because of that, whenever there was a group project or anything, usually he would be like, "Alright guys, we can meet up after school and work on it. I can drive people over to somebody's house and we can get extra work done." He had just gotten his license, so he was excited to just be driving places and just be like, have some freedom. So whatever, in this particular class, they ended up having a group project, and someone in the group said that they could all meet at their house and work on the project. Now, this person and my friend never really hung out a ton. They didn't know each other very well. It was just going to be a situation where they were going to work on the group project and then go their separate ways. So he didn't have his address. He didn't know where he lived. He didn't know what this dude's house looked like, or what cars were in the driveway. All he knew is that they were going to do the group project at this house. So everybody agrees to meet there at 3 p.m. after school, and sure enough, the school day ends, and he realizes that he didn't get the address, so he texts the person in his class and is like, "Hey, can you send me the address?" Sure enough, they send it to him, and he clicks, how you can click it from your text and open it in Maps to get directions, so, he's assuming there's gonna be no miscommunication at all. If you send me the address and I click on it and get directions, I'm gonna assume that it just takes me to your house. So whatever, he drives there, and he walks up to the front door and he knocks, and he's like, no one's answering. So he texts him and says, "Hey, I'm outside, no one's answering, can you let me in?" And his classmate responds that it was open and to just come in. So obviously at this point, he doesn't really think anything that weird is going on. Maybe they were just upstairs working on the project and didn't want to come to the door. Maybe, they just were messing with him. Regardless, it's not like he was really afraid. He thought this was the right address. It was the one the person had texted him, so he just opened the door and went in. And to his surprise, the door was unlocked, so he walks in and he immediately is really confused because the house is very quiet. So quiet, he was almost convinced nobody was home, and so he's getting a little bit confused because he at least had expected to walk in and be able to hear everyone working on the group project. And so he just starts kind of walking around the house, looking in the living room, looking in the kitchen, and as he's looking around, he's getting even more confused because he's like, man, it just doesn't seem like anyone who goes to my school lives here. There's no papers anywhere, there's not a backpack, there's no pictures of a family or anything. It's just a bunch of pictures of this dude and his dog everywhere, and he's like, I don't know, maybe his dad just only likes pictures of himself, who knows? So whatever, he's just kind of doing his thing, waiting for somebody to come down and get him, and that's when he hears some footsteps coming down the stairs. And so obviously he kind of walks back into the front room where the stairs were to kind of see who it is, just to see if it's his classmate, if they're sneaking down to mess with him or something. And when he comes around the corner and looks, he sees the guy who was in the pictures from the dog, or with the dog, the same guy whose house it is. And the guy looks at him and his eyes immediately just shoot really, really wide. And my friend doesn't think this is the wrong house, doesn't realize what's going on. So he just goes, "Hey, I'm here for the group project, where is everybody?" And the guy just starts screaming, "What are you doing in my house? What are you doing in my house?" And my friend is insanely confused because he's like, "What? No, I'm here for the group project. I'm here for the group project." And the guy's like, "We don't have a group project. I don't have kids. What are you doing in my house?" And at that point, my friend is looking around and he's like, "Oh my God, am I in the wrong house?" Obviously, he didn't know where his classmate lived, so he's just like, "I'm so sorry." And so he just runs back out the front door and slams it behind him and goes to his car, gets in, drives around the corner, and pulls up the text to double check. Sure enough, when he scrolls back up and sees the address, he's like, "All right, let me double check and put it into my maps just to make sure that I didn't go to the wrong address." And sure enough, it takes him right back to the house that he had just been inside of, And at this point, when he comes back around the corner, the guy is now outside on the phone, and he sees him in the car, and he's like, "You," and he rolls down the window. He's like, "I did not mean to come into your house. I'm trying to look for my classmate's house. I'm here to do a group project." And he's like, "Why are you in my house? What were you doing in there?" And he goes, listen, it sounds insane, I have a group project for school. My classmate texted me an address. It was this one. I said the door was locked and he said to come in. And he's like, well, it's not your classmate's house, man. Get out of here. And my friend is literally mortifying, like embarrassed at this point. How could you not be mortified? You just accidentally walked into a stranger's house in the middle of the day and like they came down and just saw you standing there. So whatever, my friend drives away. He goes back to his house, and by this point, his phone is getting blown up from his group, being like, dude, are you really not gonna show up? I thought we were gonna work on the project. What the heck, man? You could have told us you weren't gonna come. Like, why did you, this was all your plan? And he's like, bro, you gave me the wrong address. I just walked into some stranger's house. And the classmate's like, dude, I didn't give you the wrong address. Trust me, I think I know where I live. I've lived here for like my entire life. I didn't give you the wrong address. And he's like, well, scroll up and look, dude, because whoever's house that directions took me to and whoever's house I walked in had no clue what group project we were talking about. And his classmate goes up and checks and he goes, oh yeah, my bad. Okay, yeah, sorry, I did send the wrong address. And he's like, dude, you didn't double check? Like, you didn't double check that you sent me the right address? Do you realize that you just made me walk into this stranger's house? And he's like, yeah, whatever, but you still should have like called and made sure that you could come to the group project. He goes, dude, I technically just committed breaking and entering. I'm not coming to work on the group project now. Obviously, that was never his intention. The door was unlocked. Like, he didn't break into this dude's house, you know, but it feels insane to like, imagine being on the other end of that, you know? There's just some kid, he's like, I didn't mean to break into your house. You know, obviously that's gonna freak out whoever was on the other side. So the classmates are getting annoyed that he doesn't want to come work on the project. And he's like, look, I already drove all the way over there. I already drove all the way home. I'm not going to like come over and do this project. I'm sorry. And his classmate's like, dude, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Like, so what? You walked into a stranger's house. It's not like it matters. We're almost done with it, but can you do the citations then? Like, fine. If you're not going to do, come over and work on it, then you have to do the citations. And he's like, whatever, I'll do the citations. That's okay. So the next day he goes into school, and as he's walking down the hallway, the teacher that the group was for kind of pulls him aside and goes, hey, can I talk to you? And he goes in, and I guess the classmates had like emailed his teacher being all, he had blown off coming to work on the group project, you know, and wasn't answering us when we were asking him where he was, and we just feel like it's unfair that he's gonna get a good grade if he didn't do any of the work. And he's just kind of flabbergasted because he thought that they had, you know, at least settled it all over text and had kind of agreed that he was gonna do the citations. So he tells the teacher, he's like, look, I called, they told me to do the citations, so that's what I'm doing. And she's like, but why didn't you go? Like, they said you said you were gonna meet up with them and then you didn't. And he goes, it's an insane story. Are you sure you want to know? And the teacher's like, yes. So he starts recounting this back to the teacher about, you know, he got the text for the address, he put it in the GPS, drives up, door doesn't open, they say go in, he goes in, meets a stranger, blah, 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 blah. And the teacher is like, okay, yeah, I can understand why you didn't exactly go feel like doing a giant group project after that. And he's like, I know. And the teacher says that they had conveniently left that part out, you know, they had just gone to her and tried to be all like, he just isn't gonna do any of the work. Which, to be fair and defend his classmates for a second, the story doesn't sound legit. Like, doesn't that sound like an excuse somebody would make up to not have to do the group project? It just so happened that my friend had legitimately walked into a stranger's house. So the teacher said, all right, here's what we're gonna do. Just because it seems like this group's a little bit of a mess, instead of you doing the citations, can you just do a project on your own? It doesn't have to be an insane presentation, just a PowerPoint about it, you know, that way they feel better, you don't have to work with the group, and we don't have to worry about it. And he's like, yeah, that's fine with me. Obviously he wanted his grade, but he just really couldn't believe that they had gone to snitch on him and like try to get him in trouble when it was their fault for sending the wrong address. I'm just saying, if you tell everybody to meet at your house and then you're texting them the address, I feel like that's one of the things that you should double check. Like the casualness of, oh yeah, I did send the wrong address, my bad. But like, why are you also telling me to go inside if, you know, I said I'm here? You think they would have looked out the door at some point? Like, they had to have realized he was at the wrong house when he said, oh, I'm outside, come get me, and he just wasn't outside. But nah, they just went straight to the teacher to try to get him to like fail the quarter instead, which not very swag. Either way, it did end up working out. My friend got a good grade and he got a heck of a story out of it. I mean, it's not every day you end up accidentally walking into some dude's house, and if anything, he's very lucky that the dude was just screaming at him to get out of his house and not like, you know, blap blap. Because let's be honest, I feel like if most people walked into just a stranger in their kitchen who started being like, hi, I'm here for the group project, they would feel like it's just some Craigslist dude trying to rob them. Anyways, guys, I think that is going to do it for the video. I know this was a shorter one, but, you know, made a lot of story times, got stuff going on, all that jazz. Not like everything can be a 45-minute banger. But, yeah, if you did enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You could also use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout if you really want to help me out. And, of course, last but certainly not least, I do post the audio versions of these story times on Spotify, so if you ever want to listen offline without gameplay, whatever floats your boat, that link's going to be down in the description. But, yeah, on that note, guys, I think that'll do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.